Manage Comics. Coming to you from a secret underground lair, these dedicated heroes discuss the business of comics, industry news, comic book retail issues, and the latest developments from Manage Comics. They are promoters of comics, champions of small business, and four-color heroes. They are the Manage Comics team.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Holy mackerel, 25 people here already. This is the first time we're trying this new webinar thing. So this is still available on YouTube and on Facebook. But yeah, we've got some exciting stuff going on. So hello to everyone here. There's so many of you, I don't think I can actually individually say hi, but I see some usual faces. I see people that have got tickets. I'm going to ask you to be kind to me today because it has been a week, to say the least. So yeah, I know there's a lot of tickets in queue. I am looking at tickets. I've got Taras looking at tickets. We've got Natalia looking at tickets. There's a lot of stuff going on. Let's get right into it though. If you have questions, throw them out in here. I'm going to answer all the questions at the end. But yeah, there's been a couple questions asked online, so I'll definitely get to those ones. And if you got questions here, I see a question at the very top, comic culture. I might ask you to restate your question when we get down there because it could get lost depending on how much conversation goes on. All right, let's get to it. So latest updates, AMA. The latest updates. So obviously the big thing was product reservations. This has been a long time coming. We've been working on product reservations for, I want to say 3 or 4 months. It goes back to, I think, April, maybe even March that we started working on this. I was actually working on specs for it back in January. So this has been a long time. We're like 7 months, almost 8 months in. The whole point of this is basically to improve the system, the stability of the system going forward. There's a lot of problems with the old way of having a separate subscription product and then the regular product. Unfortunately, what we learned after we went live is that a lot of people relied on that subscription product for a lot of different kind of, let's call them hacks. And I don't mean that like in the negative way. I mean, people figured out ways around things. So yeah, that being gone is causing some issues, but we've already introduced one mitigation that we'll talk about in a bit. And next week, we're going to have a second thing ready as well. Megan Killer, can we have it back? No, sorry. That's so the thing that we were doing with product reservations was a hack, like a complete hack. It was because that wasn't available to us, the ability to reserve products. So it was a terrible thing, and it required multiple calls every time we did anything with the product. And frankly, products would get lost in translation. So if somebody deleted one of those subscription products, which happened all the time, it would cause all kinds of problems for their orders. This is just a much more stable kind of thing going forward. So that's why we have it. We're not doing it punitively, I promise. I promise. So we also ran a script to backfill all the products. We also reserved all the items that were in draft orders, and we did some updates to the Manage Comics order helper. Those were all good things, but there's known knowns, the things that we know about and understand and know how to deal with. There's known unknowns, the things that we know that we don't know, and we're not quite sure how things are going to happen. There's unknown knowns, things we understand but we're not aware of. So we understand how this thing works, but we don't know what's going to happen when it's in production. And there's unknown unknowns, things that we're neither aware of or understand. That kind of explains everything that went wrong, they fit into one of the last two categories. In testing, everything worked. We tested with over 1,000 products. I think I had one test site that had like 2,800 products in it, and it worked fine. That was the most I could create with the limited amount of kind of Shopify, or sorry, publisher invoices I had. We had mixes of subscription and non-subscription. We did tests on drafts and stuff that was invoiced. In production, we realized that it's not as simple as time-based because we staggered everything to be to upload. I think it was like every 5 seconds or something like that. We would upload like 1,000 products kind of thing. But it turns out Shopify uses a points-based system that we didn't know about. And that points-based system can mean that it will just ignore API calls at some point. So yeah, we had some issues. So what that meant was not everything became moved from subscription to reserved. But the good news is that we're seeing that most of it is kind of working itself out in the wash over time. And I think one of the additions we're going to add will also help with that as well. So the launch wasn't perfect. My favorite email was, when do you think check-ins will be back? Which was like, if you push the big red button that says migrate your site, check-ins come back like within 2 minutes to 10 minutes. Can you just undo this? It's terrible. You've broken the way we do everything. Why, God, why? It was a pretty, I'm going to say pretty demoralizing couple of days. It was Thursday and Friday were not terribly fun. Taras and I worked like 16-hour days for multiple days, and we're just kind of recovering now. We'll talk about some of the, like the number of tickets we have and everything in a second. We did see a massive influx of tickets as can be, assumed. We've got 79 tickets, closed 45. We still have 34 ongoing issues. Christina, I know you've got one. Megan, I think we've got one of yours still hanging out. So yeah, I know we've still got tickets to go. The issue with tickets is that we have to triage everything. We have to figure out whether it's a massive problem that needs to be fixed for everyone quickly, if it's a store local problem that needs to be fixed for that store, or if it's a customer specific problem. Customer specific stuff, we're putting on the farthest of back burners. The number one priority is stuff that affects the most stores. We're at the point now where we're starting to fix individual store issues. So I apologize for how long this is taking. I know this is killing everyone. But it's a matter of like, there's only so many hours in the world. So we normally try and resolve tickets within 24 hours. We try and respond within an hour. Right now we're dealing with the emergencies most, and getting to everything else. And then if it's like a data issue, like, don't worry, send us data issues, because data issues, I just flip over to Max and Max takes care of them. Max can't do the stuff with, programming and stuff like that. That's Taras and I. So Taras, Natalia and I. So data issues, please send those in. We will prioritize those because, one, they affect every store. Two, they're usually really easy to solve. And three, it's a nice win every now and then. So things we've updated quickly. So this is one of the first things we did, which was the improved action buttons. And I have a little video that I'm going to play that will explain this better than I can do it right here. And it's going to go through everything that you'll see. It's like 2 minutes long. So just enjoy this and we'll be back in a second. Hey there, it's Brian from Manage Comics, and I want to go through exactly what our different statuses mean. You're going to find these on the Manage Comics help page, where we've outlined the different bulk changes you can do to orders and the changes you can do to an individual order. For bulk changes, you can select multiple orders and apply changes to all of them at once. For individual orders, you can go into that order and make changes at the order level. This help page will help you understand the individual action buttons, what they each do, and what the outcome of using them will be. Now let's take a look at this in action. From within Shopify, I can look at my inventory, see what's being managed by Shopify and what's being managed by Manage Comics. I'm going to go to my products page, pull up Batman and Robin number 9, and we'll look at the inventory status. We see that 3 copies are unavailable and managed by Manage Comics 2 subscriptions, while 11 copies are available. That gives us a total on hand of 14 copies. Next, we'll pop into Diana Prince's order in Manage Comics, where we see she has Batman and Robin number 9 cover A on order. Clicking on the item makes our action buttons available to us. Our first option is to delete the item. This will decrease unavailable to 2 and leave available at 11 for a total of 13 copies on hand. We might do this if our count is off and we want to remove this item from Diana and not track it in any way. Our next option is to delete and restock. This will decrease unavailable to 2, increase available to 12, and give us a total of 14 copies on hand. We would use this option if Diana came in and said she doesn't want this book and you need to put it back on the shelf. Fulfill items will decrease unavailable to 2 and leave available to 11 for a total of 13 copies on hand. We would do this if we want to mark this book as picked up and then cash it out in another method that does not track back to Shopify another way. So for example, if you just have a traditional cash register and you're checking someone out, this might be the way that you would do that. Fulfill and restock will decrease unavailable by 2, increase available to 12, and give us a total of 14 copies on hand. We will use this method if we want to use another system like BinderPause, which is pulling quantity from within Shopify to check out. Both fulfill items and fulfill and restock will record quantity for the order history. Finally, we have invoice selected. This will create an invoice for the items on the order and create a draft order from within Shopify. It takes the reserved items and attributes them to an individual order within Shopify. If you're looking for more details about orders within Manage Comics, go to help.managecomics.com and search for status. Click on customer orders and scroll down about halfway on that page. We hope this helps you understand the order statuses and the action bars. And if you have any questions about this or anything else, please reach out to help@managecomics.com. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right. So hopefully that's clear as mud. That's great. I just learned that that when you replace video, it doesn't replace your audio. So you guys heard me for a couple seconds there, but I learned something new. It used to replace the audio and mute your audio. So something new. Okay, we had some good comments going on during this whole that little video. If anyone has any questions about that video, let me know. There's something cool that we're doing that will be related to it that I think will even help more. But I want to pull up a couple of comments. I'm looking for Michael's. So Michael Body, which I believe is Collectors Unlimited, if I'm right. Real issue is not giving a serious heads up about the function changing completely before we chose to update. Fair. In my defense, we had multiple emails that talked about this. We had multiple video streams that talked about this, the serious nature of it. I thought it would be a little bit smoother, and I didn't realize the number of different ways that people were using the system and how many folks were using it, quote unquote, not as intended. And I don't mean this like judgmentally. A lot of people were doing things that I'd never even clued in that that's the way they were doing things. And that's fine. We just didn't know, right? So that goes back to the unknown unknowns. I had no idea how different folks were using. And then Michael says, the rub is I never remove products from customer orders. That's troubling. And now he has a smash system and cannot quickly get inventory to pop right. So I think we've got a solution for that. And that's the next thing that we're working on. This should be done sometime next week. Oh no, am I missing it? Okay. Yeah, so we've got a reserved products mover, which is going to be a tool within Manage Comics, which will show you all the items that are reserved and let you move reserved stuff to available and delete from reserved. Michael, for your specific case, we may have to go in there and do some work to clear out your orders or something like that. If that's the case, just send us a ticket and we can figure it out. Like, we've been able to unscrew a number of systems already, so I'm sure we can figure this out with you. I'm not too worried about it. I know it seems dark right now, but it will get better. So yeah, let me talk about the next thing that's going to happen. So right after this, we've got a huge backlog of update items that we're going to update. We have more than, I want to say it's like 38 items right now. It says in this video it was 32. It's the most updates we've ever released at one time. They're in final QA right now. Taras and I wanted to let everything else kind of calm down before we went into this. So we let everything kind of settle, and there was a number of really panicked updates we made last week. There was a couple times we may have cowboy coded, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So after that, yeah, we want to throw this stuff out. Let me just take a look at some of these things. You know what? I think what we'll do is I'm going to pull up this video that's going to explain everything. Folks, like Megan, I see your comment. I guess the issue is we're on a time crunch on New Comics Day and adding another step is hard to justify. Let's talk about this. So there's a bunch of stuff that maybe you want to just ignore. And maybe we need to create a system whereby orders for pulls just don't, like, if you're just going to use it like pull box, like Diamond's pull box, and you don't care about tracking stuff, maybe we need to do something around that. So there's a possibility. Like, this is not the final form of this particular Pokemon. This is just where it is now. And if you weren't using the system this way before, I'm not sure how this changes anything other than the fact that now you need to move products. And we can talk a little bit about that. Joe, this is a great question. Where could people who use Manage Comics with Lightspeed meet to maybe chat about workflows, troubleshoot? That's an awesome question. MK1 in New Zealand uses Lightspeed, and he's been keeping me apprised of all the stuff he's been dealing with. I would love to get Lightspeed integration working better. The problem is you guys are probably on R. Their latest system is X, and I know there's no migration path between X and R. But yeah, we'll try and figure that out. We have a Discord. I just don't know how to use it. So I might get my teenage daughter to help me get it working. We do have one. I just don't know how to invite folks. So if anyone wants to message me offline afterwards and tell me how to get this thing set up, I'm happy to get that thing going again. It still exists. It lives. I just don't really understand how it works. Sorry. Okay. I'm going to show a little video that will talk about the 32 some odd changes we're making. If you guys got questions, throw them into the chat, and when we get back, we're gonna talk questions. Starting right away, we are going to start using the built-in categorization features within Shopify. This is Shopify's standard product taxonomy, and this allows you to automatically calculate taxes and a bunch of different things through Shopify's standard product taxonomy. It will also improve your Google product listings, and there's one other. It might be eBay, because they can key off of these standard product taxonomies. This product taxonomy within Shopify is still under development. So we will be updating it with the new stuff as it comes in. We added a couple small improvements to the CSV, the subscription CSV. So in the upper right-hand corner of the pulls by date report, I believe, you can have, no, sorry, this is on the customers subscriptions page. You're able to download all the existing subscriptions. We've improved it by showing the price with discount and displaying only active subscriptions in the listing. As a store, I would like to see all items that are ratios on check-in. So when you're doing check-ins, you'll now see a ratio number underneath any products that are ratioed. Because some publishers don't include that information in the title. So this will make sure that all of it is always there. As a store owner, I would like to know that items are ratio products on initial orders and FOC items. So again, we're going to include that same information on initial and FOC information pages. As a store owner, I would like to select all on pre-orders to approve all at once. So if you're on the customer activity page and you want to approve all of the pre-orders that are there, you'll now have a little box that will let you approve all. Kind of dangerous, but it's a requested feature. So there we go. As a store, items with categories I have hidden should not show up in the product listing. So right now, if DC started adding these bundles of 25 and they're listed as retailer tools in our GeekFetch backend because they shouldn't be available to customers, but we don't have code in the front end saying don't show retailer tools in the product listings, which is dumb, but it had never happened before. So we didn't even realize that was an issue. As a store, I want to see who was shorted on my most recent pulls. So during the pulls process, there can be shortages created. Right now, this is probably one of the more emailed complaint people have is like Bob Smith didn't get Batman this week. And when we look into it, 95% of the time, it's because they were shorted. But the thing is, you don't actually see that on the pulls by date. So now you'll actually see it there. It's also on the shortages report. Just to recap, the next time you checked in Batman 143, those 5 people would get it. So that is already built into the system. But often people don't realize that they need to check in more quantity of some items. Add update quantity with subscriptions to the FOC screen. So we will now have a button that will allow you to update the quantity to at least be the amount of your subscription quantity. And if you had previously had new total of like more than your subscriptions, it'll leave that alone. As a store owner, I would like the inactive subscriptions to display in a different tab on a customer subscription page. So all the inactive subscriptions that are no longer available, things like, Batman 2011, the old Batman series, will now be on the inactive subscriptions tab. So you have to go into that one. As a customer, I do not want to be able to subscribe to one-shot products. So if something's a one-shot, obviously it's not subscribable. You can only pre-order them. This was confusing for some people, so we are removing that ability. As a customer, I want shipping date FOC to be consistent. On the front end, we sometimes place the shipping date on the left and the FOC date on the right. And sometimes it's FOC on the left and shipping date on the right. We're being consistent. I don't remember consistency. We should always have shipping date on the left and FOC date on the right. There you go. As a store on check-in, I would like to be able to check products in with the final 5 digits to ensure, without the final 5 digits to ensure I do not create duplicate products within GeekFetch. So we notice a lot of duplicate products, and sometimes we even get duplicates of duplicates. And the problem seems to be that when you're checking in to Manage Comics, if you check in just the first 13 digits and for whatever reason we don't have the PRH ID for that product, which is only 13 digits, then it forces you to create a new product. So now we're going to evaluate those first 13 digits first before we also, this is for graphic novels only, by the way. Add powered by Managed Comics to the footer of all Managed Comics pages. This is just a little thing just for us. We've added a powered by Managed Comics logo. Turns out most people actually like the fact that they're using a system. So we want to make sure folks know that they're, using Managed Comics. So this will, there will be the ability to hide the powered by Managed Comics logo if you just add some custom CSS in your custom CSS of your theme. Add hashtag powered by MC2 display none, and it will go away. But we think that it's probably a good thing, especially as we add new front end features like the Managed Comics spotlights and things like that. It will probably be more important to get Managed Comics in there. Within GeekFetch, we found that the FOC date was being overwritten. PRH FOC dates were being overwritten by other distributors. This was from a long time ago decision that we made. Unfortunately, what we discovered recently is that PRH's FOC dates on book products are significantly different than Diamond or Lunar's. So we have fixed that. That's already live and in production. Within GeekFetch, non-comics or TPBs should not have subscription options. So for some reason, you could subscribe to a t-shirt, which was weird. So we removed that ability. Within GeekFetch, we have a query for duplicate issue sequence numbers, not giving correct results. So we have our own tools in the back end. One thing we found was that it was not, the issue sequence number tool was not giving us the right results. So we were missing duplicate issue sequence numbers. As a GeekFetch user, I want to know when key items are missing from a product. So now on the front end of GeekFetch, which you'll see if you click on an item from if you're in an item from the FOC or the initial orders, and you click on that item, you'll see kind of all of the different fields that we have within GeekFetch. And if those fields are red, that means we're missing a key field. We did this for our own internal use because the first step of triaging something is to take a look at that product in GeekFetch. And if we see in red that something's missing, it'll key in what the problem is, because it's often a needle in a haystack. What is missing on this product that is causing problems down the line? So now we'll have better information for that. This actually happened today when people were complaining that Fist of Khonshu #0 was not searchable. And it turns out that Fist of Khonshu was missing the main description within GeekFetch. So I took a look at the product and saw that immediately and fixed it. GeekFetch, select to added by system. So we added a new query that allows us to see a new dropdown that allows us to see things that were added by systems or by the users, so that we can kind of get a better idea of. Oftentimes, things with really bad data turn out to be user generated things, and not because users don't know what they're doing. It's because y'all don't know what fields we require in order for a product to get, and we quarantine those products. But sometimes we'll approve a user-based product to get it into the system quickly. This gives us a better kind of way of looking at that, and then we'll find those red items that are missing and get them fixed up. We have a query for multiple issues with the same issue sequence number, so we can now review that. And on import, we're going to add issue number to all comics if issue number is blank. Lunar in particular, and I believe even Penguin Random House don't give us an issue number if it's a one-shot. And that's still a 1. It's a one-shot of 1, so we need an issue number. Wow, that was sudden. It caught me off guard. Just went to black. I forgot that I usually have the top and tail, but I kind of got rid of them. Okay. I see Revenge of is asking a bunch of questions or making a bunch of suggestions. I love it. Okay. So before we left, there were a couple things that came up in here. So we have my thoughts are to fulfill the entire order system, add back issue legacy. Yeah, I think that's probably makes a lot of sense, Michael. And we can go through with this kind of offline. We'll take care of this one with you. This is interesting. Product categories don't seem to affect tax correctly for UK stores. You were testing that yesterday. Well, that's fun, isn't it? Man, that's wonderful. That's something you should actually take up with Shopify and see if they can fix it, because they should be able to. Yeah, that's definitely a Shopify thing. If we're applying stuff correctly on our end, that should just work with the tax stuff. Willow had an interesting question here. Anybody having trouble scanning barcodes? So not being able to scan books without debagging has made us basically entirely stop using the MC Order Helper. That is weird because MC Order Helper will actually move all the items into your order for you. So do you mean you're stopped using Shopify itself? You shouldn't need to be scanning every one of the things. I think I need to do a whole thing on just like order process, I guess. Or not order process, but checkout process. I asked also during the thing who here is using BinderPause. So if anybody wants to chime in that you're using BinderPause, that would be amazing. Jean-Michel from Megabrain Comics says super excited about eradicating Pullbox. I can't wait. Their Megabrain is already using Shopify, so we're looking forward to welcoming them into the family. Comic Culture has asked this. I think this was the first question. Updates on ETA for customer-facing UI improvements. They will be happening after multi-store. So we're probably looking at the fall at this point. Specifically week-to-week views. I mean, I still have to get my head around what some of those things look like. So the major limitations with Managed Comics is the fact that I'm the guy that designs front end stuff. I've been working with another guy to help me with some of that stuff. We're also looking at a bunch of other things out there that would make sense to make the front end look more like it. Frankly, while this is a really nice to have, it's not something that I see particularly moving the needle either for us adding new stores or for customers deciding to use Managed Comics to manage their pulls. And everything we do has a cost, right? So basically, when we're figuring out what we're going to work on, we measure the effort it will take and the value it provides to a business, and then we divide that, and that figures out the prioritization of it. And when I look at this, it's high effort because we have to basically rebuild a whole bunch of screens. It's relatively low value in terms of, is somebody not going to use a store that doesn't show them week to week what they're going to get 6 weeks out in advance? I don't know. I don't think that's a huge thing. So because it's a high cost item and relatively low value, it's fairly low prioritized. The advantage is there's a whole bunch of front end stuff we want to do. So when we get all that stuff done, we've bundled all that stuff up together. There was a couple. Okay, so I'm looking forward to this. I haven't even looked yet, Joe. Revenge of says, feel free to tell me to submit tickets, feature requests, but on the pre-order page, is it possible to view approved pre-orders for incentive covers with price and status? So if X-Men 1 and 25 has already been requested by a second customer, I would see the previous request status. That's a cool idea. I love it. I love it. Submit it. We'll work on it. Second one, is it possible to place on GigFetch items where we can flag items issues per item so we're not bothering you with long listed emails? No, just do what you're doing. I love it, what you're doing. Right now, there's not the ability. I would love it. If that's a great idea. We should make like a flag so that we can check stuff and it could even have notes. But for now, just send tickets in. It's the easiest way. I just forward those off to Max and he gets them done. Yeah, we saw a request. Managed Comics is really involved. What if I'm so it's not, it's the simplest of all the systems. If you're currently using any other system like Comic Suite or Comic Hub or anything outside of just a bare cash register, our system is definitely the simplest because Shopify is infinitely simpler than anything else. Plus, it's $100 billion company. If Managed Comics disappeared tomorrow, you would still have a fully functioning point of sale and e-commerce solution because that stuff would still work. So Managed Comics isn't disappearing anytime soon, by the way. But I'm just saying, if it did, your system would still work, and it's intended to be the simplest thing out there. Billy says, "I know I may be jumping way ahead here, but will we see a way? Will we see a way to move between stores easier?" Yeah, so we're multi-store is on the horizon. It's the next thing we're working on. I'm hoping that will make things a lot easier for you. And then within Shopify, you can have multiple locations. I think you can have up to 100 locations. So you guys who've got, I think, 16 or 18 locations right now, you'll definitely be okay with that. Yeah. At POS, we don't have that issue scanning. I need to delete the last 5 digits. No, you don't, Anthony. Within, I'm going to share something with you right now. We're going to share this page here. Anthony, go to help.managedcomics.com. And I want you to look for socket scan. And when you get to socket scan, I want you to scan that with your scanner. You may have to print this page. I found a couple times that, like, depending on how matte your screen is, you may have to print this page in order for this to work. But this will allow it to read the last 5 digits. So if nothing else, I may have solved that problem today. Right. Okay. So we'll have said in addition to what they're pulled. Fine. I get it. Oh, Megan, you're so awesome. Will, if you want to friend me, I can help with some of this. That's so great. I love it when stores help stores. Oh, and Revenge of said Zebra scanners are easy to configure for 13-digit barcodes. Yeah, the socket scan actually has a way of doing that, so you're good. Megan says, okay, here's my question. It's already a ticket, but what are your thoughts on our situation with the order helper seeming to put back issues into active that are unselected? I think we fixed that. We're about to release it. We've had a small problem with what you're saying is exactly right, by the way, Megan. If you put something, if you remove that item in the order helper before you move it into the cart, you're fine. If you delete it out of the cart, what we were finding is that it's supposed to move that back into reserved, and it wasn't. It was leaving it in unreserved. So the best way to do that is when it's in the order helper, unselecting stuff. The hardest way is when it's at the cash register. I think we've either released it or are about to release it. I got to talk to Tross after this. Christina asks, what's GeekFetch? GeekFetch is our underlying system that all of Managed Comics uses to like every product is in GeekFetch. So if you go to, I'm going to pull up something for you here so I can show you it in action. So where you'll actually see it is on this page. This is actually a GeekFetch page that tells you all the information about that product. This was the very first thing we built in 2020, and it basically allowed us to have multiple distributors. So it's kind of the secret sauce behind Managed Comics, and it's becoming more powerful all the time. So yeah, that's a great question, actually. I got to go back to my guys. Okay, let's keep on going here. I've had an issue with books not being on pull lists. They will sometimes show up on all the pull, and when I get the email, they will be, sometimes they don't show at all. Can we maybe take this offline and you can give me some examples? If you give me specific examples of things that should have shown up. So I've looked into this 1,001 times. 95% of the time, it's because the start date was late. 5% of the time, it's because you didn't get enough copies and they were allocated in a weird way. 1% of the time, it's because the product was entirely borked and we had to fix the product. But that shouldn't be something happening a lot. Yeah, so let's figure that one out offline. So send an email to help@managedcomics.com with the specific issues and we'll figure it out. Okay, I'm just reading stuff. Any chance of adding a customer wallet system for loading funds? Yes, absolutely. We're actually looking at that in the future. We've got a whole pre-order prepayments thing down the line. And honestly, if I can be totally honest, I was hoping Shopify would add vaulted credit cards before we could build this, but it doesn't look like that's happening super soon. So yeah. Looking at switching from Comic Suite to Managed Comics, anyone have experience with that transition? A number of people have had experience with that. I will say that in the fall, we're going to start building a Comic Suite importer that will let you easily import stuff in through Managed Comics to Shopify, and that will like use GeekFetch's data to augment all of the data that we're pulling out of Comic Suite, because Comic Suite sometimes only has one or two things. The big challenge we're going to have with that is making sure that we match Comic Suite stock codes, which are a little funky and we don't right now carry. But there's a number of folks here and in our Facebook group who have used who've done that transition. Right. And Christina, you mentioned that you'd be willing to help me set up Discord. Let's try and figure that out. Just tag question: would it be possible to add a bit of depth to the title tags? We've begun utilizing meta objects. Yeah, and you know what? I want to actually, Joe, maybe we could talk about this offline at some point, because I would love to actually get more into meta tag development, and we might be able to talk to that. Totally have a plan for this, Christina. Love it. I understand that, there's going to be some customers that you want to prioritize. We do have a plan for this. And as soon as we're done multi-store, I think this is one little quick win we can do. Also, Ivan said, hey, I have experience moving people from Comic Suite. That's true. Reach out to yourfactotum.com and Ivan can hook you up. How does the shorting system decide who to short if we don't have enough copies? So right now it determines based on who was most recently subscribed to it. That's the person that will get shorted. There is not a way to let the retailer decide right now, but that's a great idea. Can I get a link to the Facebook group? If you go to Managed Comics, I think info.managedcomics.com. I think it's in the under the community page. Hey, I have the power of looking into this. If we go to info and we go to, I think it's resources, or is it help? Help, under help, community. That will get you the best way to join the group. So there you go. Megan says, is it possible to get older barcodes for our back issues? Not right now, but we will be working on that in the fall. So we've got a plan to bring in 1.5 million back issues. I also want to bring in, we want to build basically a subscription manager for back issues. So if people have want lists, we want to build like a way of doing that. Let's see. Sounds good. I've been using meta objects in a fun way after your video. We added great. You know what, Joe? I can't find that video. I want to rip that part out of that video and just show that, because I think that is a super cool thing that we built, and I cannot for the life of me find where that video is. So if you happen to know, shoot me an email with it. Does the system for sorting comics? Oh my gosh, I have no idea, Christina. That could be. Oh, isn't that interesting? So we give them one, but not the second. You may have just discovered something I never even considered. Okay, fair enough. I bet you're onto something there. Let me jump back into our slides here. I think there might be one more thing. So I think, did I describe this? I think I vaguely described what this thing's going to do. It will allow you to quickly move stuff from the reserved status into Shopify or delete it from reserved. Caveat here is going to be that it is going to not care about orders. So you could be in the negative on your orders going forward. So that will be built. And then we're going to do something really fun. Before we jump whole hog into another major project that is going to potentially break our souls, I want to do this really quick thing that I've had in my head for a long time. This is actually a relatively high fidelity mock-up of Bob's Comics, which is our demo store. So we're going to add a new tab called Previews, and then Publishers is just going to be Publishers. Right now, as you most likely know, when you click on Publishers within subscriptions, the feature thing is on the top and then your publishers are below. So what I want to do is break this out and show the next 3 months worth of, or the previous 3 months worth of features. And then we are going to start highlighting featured previews. And in the first iteration of this, those previews will only show up on this page. So it'll have, new previews, and then 12 to 14. Actually, it could be as low as 4, but as many as like 14 different previews, so that folks get an idea of important stuff that's out. And then after that, I'd like those previews to also be available on the individual product page and also on the FOC pages. So we'll highlight previews on FOC and highlighted previews on the release dates. So that is something that we'll be working on. It says my camera was unplugged. You guys may not be seeing my face anymore for the next little while. That's fun. Joe says, can stores select the previews? That would be a fun thing to add in the future, for sure. I think in the beginning, we'll just make it as simple as we can so that we'll manage that stuff, and we'll ask you guys for your input and everything like that. So yeah, my camera is unplugged, but my voice is still here. So I am now a disembodied voice with a slide deck for the next little while. And then the other thing we're working on, we've spec'd out entirely multi-store. That will be the next big thing we work on. We think it's going to take about 30 days. So I imagine that means 2 months. And I'm hoping to have this done end of summer, early September. And that will make everybody's life who has multiple stores way easier. And it also opens us up to a whole ton of stores that have been kind of on our waiting list. Yeah, let's go with questions. Anthony asks, does Managed Comics work with Clover POS yet? It does not. However, Anthony, apps.shopify. Interesting thing I just discovered the other day when I was looking at stuff. There is this quick sync for Clover, and this company also has a quick sync for Square. I'm not sure if that one's the one I'm thinking of. AutoSync for Square, that was the company. Quick sync for Square. Yeah, it is. So this company will sync up with Square, and we have a store that's going to try this out. But yeah, it will also sync up with Clover. So when you're checking out, there will be a couple extra things you're going to need to do, like free up your inventory by going into the order, and basically you would fulfill and restock. And what that'll do is move the product back into the available quantities and let you check out with it. And I'll show you that in action right now. So if I click on this, and the reason I'm saying fulfill and restock is because Buzz Grimm just picked up this book. So what we'll see is within unavailable, this is going to adjust to 13, available 1. So now you can check that out. So yeah, it's a little bit of an extra step, but yeah, it will work if you can use a sync app or something like that. Christine asks, can I get more information about the 5-digit scanner situation? I think it was just that some folks don't have the socket scan set up so that they can scan all the extra digits. This is called UPC/EAN with supplementals. So with the socket scan, the one that works with the Shopify POS, if you scan this little code right here, that will actually enable 5-digit UPC with your, yeah, I figured you had that already. All right. Any other questions? This has been a long one, folks. 55 minutes. I like to keep these a tight 30, but I think my videos alone were 20 minutes. So I knew it was going to be a bit longer. Like I said, my camera just died a few minutes ago while we were in the slide deck. So I'm not sure. Laura Grace says she had a question. In Managed Comics Order Helper, once you bring subscriber issues to the cart, a lot of times it takes a while. Yeah, so I think you'll notice that has changed significantly with this latest update. The reason behind that was because the old way was actually moving a product from a subscription product into the regular product. As you check in more stuff over the next few weeks, you're going to find that this gets faster and faster. So what's happening in the background is Shopify is updating those products and then allowing them to be checked out. So yeah, it may take a little while right now until everything gets synced up, because there's still going to be a few bracket subscription products for the next little while. But going forward, this should get much, much better. I totally respect this. I understand it. I'm totally sorry. Willow says she had, under the current system, when a subscriber adds a series, it grabs the next orderable FOC, which often means subscriber's mission issue. Is there a setting to change it so the series automatically adds the next book? So the only thing to do on your end as an admin would be to change the start date to today if you wanted to do something like that. Second one is there a way to create customizable categories like all X-Men? No, there's not, because we don't have the data for that right now. I understand that they used to have this on Comic Suite, but we're working with the distributors to create data like that. It just doesn't exist right now. Is there a way to mark a subscribed item has been pulled if it wasn't pulled by Managed Comics, i.e. my customer that gets 2 of everything gets the New Guys copy pulled and I add a pre-order to the New Guys list? Is there a way to mark that a subscribed item has been fulfilled? So I think what you're asking is, oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Actually, yes. Yeah, what you're asking exists right now. So tell me if what you're asking me is what I think it is. Ben Kenobi came in. You had an extra Harley Quinn. You gave it to him. If you delete this, the next time Ben Kenobi comes in, or next time Harley Quinn comes in, Ben won't get an extra copy of it. Is that what you're looking for? I think it is. That should solve it. So it's in subscribed product shortages, and this is a week by week kind of report. I think I got everyone's questions. Is there anything else that I'm missing? If there is, listen, this isn't the last one of these we're going to do. There will be more of these. I'm planning on doing one about Shopify's most recent update, the summer 2024 update. So I'll definitely do that, and that'll probably be in the next couple of weeks. And in the meantime, there's going to be other stuff. We got a couple more. Not a question. Just wanted to say Managed Comics is incredible. And it's been night and day for us at our shop. We went from regular shots on titles and missing variants to having maybe one short every few weeks, and that's just awesome. That's so nice to hear. I'm so happy to hear that. Not sure if this has already been answered or if it's part of Managed Comics, but when you are scrolling pages on the subscription page with all the books, no indication of what. That's on the front end, right? Yeah, that's a small front end tweak we're gonna do. I think you're talking about the front end, like the customer view. Can you just clarify that for me, Sarah? Christina, can I add items to the DB via GeekFetch? Not right now. Right now, the only people that can add items are Managed Comics. If you're importing an item that we don't currently have details for, which is usually like promo items and stuff like that mostly, you can update that within your check-in process, and then we approve stuff like that. But that's kind of where we are. I just fulfilled 15,000 items. You just what? You did what? 15,000 items. Oh God. Okay, well, we'll take a look at that. That would not normally be recommended. 15,000 items is a lot. Takes an average of 1 second per item. So, okay. May have missed it, but it would be possible to enhance tags on series like X-Men and Batman so new volumes can be sorted differently. So, Joe, right now we don't get that info from the distributors, but that's part of the Comet standard, which I think I probably need to do an entire video just on the Comet standard. We had planned on adding a lot of extra data that we don't currently have, but then what ended up happening was I ended up co-chairing the Comet standard with the Comics metadata working group. And we built an entire, sorry, that's the wrong link. We built an entire white paper around this, and it has all these different fields There's, gosh, I want to say 84 different fields, and a couple of them are specifically for series family, storylines, stuff like that. So we were going to start building a lot of this stuff on our own, but really I want this stuff to come from the publishers, because the publishers know this information more definitively than we do, rather than adding more terrible data. I wanted to make sure that we were doing this the right way. So, oh, Joe, you're making me blush. I'd love to see your video on the proper way. Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. And I think we're going to do that sooner than later. Is there a feature or one coming up to pause, not delete a user's pull, so the customer cannot pull more until the store releases a hold? We don't have that yet. But that's a great request. Go to roadmap.managecomics.com and place a request, and we'll take a look at that for sure. Right. Okay. We have access to this afterwards. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm going to send out an email later today, or maybe first thing tomorrow morning, that will have the replay. Did you answer? Yeah, Megan. We don't have back issues. We're going to add 1.5 million back issues probably early next year. We're actually in the process of starting to normalize that data now. Ivan wants to know if there's videos for workflow. Of course, Ivan. Every workflow has a video. So if you go to, if you're in Manage Comics Help, and you go to the workflows, every one of our workflows that are here has a little video at the beginning of it that will explain stuff. But yeah, we should definitely do some videos for, maybe I should do a workflow. I see what you're saying. Do a workflow and video for the checkout process and the different types of checkouts that we could do. Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's a good idea. Okay, folks, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Again, I apologize for losing my camera at some point today. I have no idea why my camera disappeared, but it is what it is. And we persevere somehow. We will talk to you very soon. Keep an eye out in your email inboxes for the next one of these that we do. And in the meantime and in between time, keep managing those comics.